I guess we can just get started with you. Just like a little bit about yourself. Obviously I looked at your page, I looked at like everything, but I just want to know like coming from you and a little bit about your background and what makes you you.
Okay, so yeah, obviously.
Uh-huh.
I
Mm-hmm.
recently graduated from NCA this year, like December, January this year.
Mm-hmm.
So I majored printmaking. Like I was fine art student, but I majored in printmaking. So basically Pakistan's first printmaking studio, and I've been working with that. And our college hired us
Mm-hmm.
for a project with this French Algerian artist.
Okay.
So it was a big thing for us because at that time LBF was also happening, so it was part of LBF as well.
Oh, cool.
So we worked on that,
Mm-hmm.
and I've been working with the studio like ever since. Like the entire I was with the studio. So I've been practicing my art through
Right.
that. Or side by side, I've been doing these projects and freelancing
Right.
and what else? Yeah, basically that.
Cool. That's awesome. And you mentioned that you just graduated. What was that like with COVID? Not that I want to talk about COVID because oh my god, I'm so done with that. But like I just graduated as well from also like graphic design from SVA. And oh my god, it was like hell. So I'm so glad I have somebody that can resonate with me. Graduation, quarantine is like,
No,
oh,
actually, I graduated right before Corona. So
oh,
it was
okay.
like last year, December, and
Uh,
January, basically this year, January. So it was like all good, and we were like happy. Okay, we are graduating. So we had plans, and we didn't know about कि अच्छा आगे क्या होने वाला है and all.
right, right.
So it was a little shocking for us, yes. But I'm so glad that we graduated on the time जब
Yeah,
हमने thesis display कर दिया और सब कुछ वो चीजें हो गई जो
right,
major था. So
right.
we never went through this hectic time and the stressful time. So yeah, so it was like January of this year.
Right. Okay, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, when things were like not even we didn't even know what it was. Okay, but
Yes.
that's good. That's awesome. So you got to like take your time with your thesis and your graduation and stuff. That's cool. So tell me a little bit about like your art background as into like how you really got into art school, like what made you want to like do that.
Okay, so like normally, okay, it's very cliche, but yes, I always wanted to be an artist.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Like I remember when I was a kid, I got my first sketchbook and I was like around 12 years old. Yes.
Mhm, mhm.
So I used to paint with जो normally हम paints मिलते थे and all
Right, right,
पानी में
right.
mix करके and all that.
Yeah.
I remember there were like different medicines at home. I used to mix them with water or
Uh-huh.
oil, and I used to
Uh-huh.
paint with that as well. So
Oh,
that's how I
cool.
started started doing. And I used to like my father is a forest officer, so I've spent like good amount of time in nature.
Right.
So I used to go और मेरा रोजाना स्कूल के बाद की routine ये होती थी. I used to go and pick up flowers and collect
Right.
bugs and all that.
Right,
So
right,
I used to like mash the flowers and I
right.
used to get pigment out of it. At that very time, I had no idea this
Oh,
is a thing.
wow. So like the organic way of getting paint. That's awesome. That's
Yes,
so cool.
that's how it all started. And at that time, I was living in Gujarat. So like it's a small city
Mhm.
in Punjab, but like not as developed as Lahore. So
Right.
like in 2010, I got like here in Lahore,
Mhm.
and I did my school and all. It was all basic, but I had this idea, and I knew that I was gonna go for arts, obviously. So
Right.
I just wanted to get अच्छा ठीक है ये metric और ये
Yeah.
interior सब खत्म हो गया, so I can just
Yeah.
get into NCA
Right.
because I remember I was very young when I got to know about NCA, and I
Mhm.
was like yes मुझे NCA ही जाना है.
Right.
Also बचपन में most से बच्चों को attract करती हैं चीजें कि हम डॉक्टर बनेंगे हम पायलट
Right.
बनेंगे. All those things never attracted me, so I
Right.
always wasn't like interested towards like colors and
Right.
series and like basically visuals.
Right. Right.
So the movies and the books that I've been reading were all fantasy based and very illustrative type.
Right.
So I got into NCA, and I had no idea what I was exactly gonna do for like in my fine arts, but I had my printmaking blog. It was really interesting, and
Right.
I got into that. Mhm.
Cool. Cool. Sorry, it was like getting stuck, but I can hear you fine.
Okay, so that's how I got into printmaking and my work. So my work was majorly inspired by nature
Mhm.
and fantasy-based things,
Cool.
books, storybooks, and all. Because all the books and movies I was watching and reading,
Right.
that like heavily impacted me in a good way.
Right. In a
So
good way.
I did my own this fantasy world for myself.
Right.
So I mostly enjoyed my thesis more
Mhm.
because मुझे ये tension नहीं थी कि वो अच्छा thesis देना tension है ये वो.
Right. Right.
I
Right.
was having so much fun in that time. I was having so much fun. I was like, I really want this time to like continue. I
Yeah.
don't want this to end because it was so because 4 साल की मेहनत थी
Yeah.
और वो एक जगह प्रिंट डाउन करनी थी. मेरे प्लान ये नहीं था कि अच्छा I'm gonna make work ताकि ये सेल हो या कुछ. But
Right.
I was so excited that all these years I want to do this. Like this
Right.
1 year is so very fun for me. So that's how all the fun things I've been planning came to an end in a good way.
That's so nice. That's so nice. I mean, like you always hear that, oh my God, like thesis and finals and portfolio, it's like very hectic and so it's so nice to hear that you actually had like so much fun doing it. So can you tell me a little bit more about like your thesis and what it was on?
Okay, so like just like I mentioned earlier, it basically came from my surroundings because I told you like my father is a forest officer, so I
Right.
spent like good amount of time in nature. So
Right.
it heavily affected me like in a good way. Like I was surrounded by it, and that was one thing that kept on inspiring me and like giving me more ideas and all. And then side by side the books and movies I told you
Right.
about, so it
Right.
was all fantasy based and euphoric, right? So
Right.
I was trying to create this ideal perfect word for myself
Right.
because I knew like monotonous kuch bhi nahi chalega, right?
Right.
So I wanted okay, maybe I can create my happy place. Maybe
Mhm.
it's temporary but it's there. So
Right.
when I'm in it, I'm having the time of my life. So
Right.
it's like temporary happiness, but that was what I was looking at. Like I had no idea that okay, मैंने अपना art create करके दुनिया बदलनी or something. No, that wasn't my
Right.
plan. I only wanted to be happy about it.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
4 साल की मेहनत है वो मजा आया मुझे. Like I
Right.
do not want to regret it or anything like that. So that's yeah. So it was very basic idea like happiness, creating your own happiness, and how simple things can be just as perfect for you.
Right, right. It's not about like, you're sitting down in front of like whatever thing you're painting on or drawing on and you're thinking about, oh my God, like what should I do? How should I make this perfect? It's just about the simple things. That's really, really awesome because I feel like that would have helped you a lot in like this year specifically, right? When you can't go out, you can't see anybody. So like did that kind of, did your art help you in that where you created your own little world or were you like, I don't really want to paint or draw right
So
now?
this 1 year, this whole COVID time, it was actually okay, weird, but it was like a blessing to me.
Right. I've heard some people say that, so that's good. That's good.
Because I had so much time for myself and I knew अच्छा ठीक है extra parties पे नहीं जाना, extra events पे नहीं जाना.
Right.
I had time. Okay, this one time I'm just gonna focus on my work. And then
Right.
when I was doing my thesis, I did like 18 feet by 12 feet installation of like liner cut prints and all. And then there were like other prints, but still I had this idea that this is not resolved yet. So
Right.
this idea would also take like maybe 3 more years. So I
Right.
really want to resolve that. Like I want to प्लस आपको थीसिस की बात ये होता है कि यू डू नॉट हैव एनी वरी कि अच्छा किसी को दिखाना है रिजल्ट है मार्क्स एंड ऑल.
Right.
So I
Right.
had fun doing things in this year and I learned a lot from that because sometimes you're doing things because you're under pressure, right?
Right.
And in this year I had so much free time and like all the freedom in the world actually.
Right.
So
Right.
I did work and I was actually having fun and I was like okay, maybe I can sorry
Right. Right.
but like I can live like this for like 2-3 more years because
Right.
it is giving me a lot
Yeah.
of time for myself and my work.
Wow, that's awesome. I mean, you're turning all of that negative energy into positive. So that's really, really cool. How do you get into that kind of mindset? Like we talk about the art and the creative process. So, and you say that like a lot of nature and fantasy and euphoric things kind of impacted that. But what is like your actual creative process about, okay, I have to do this or this is my idea? How do you like get there?
So maybe it's like a practice now,
Mhm.
but whenever I see a thing, even if it's very simple and very basic, it automatically, like my brain automatically turns it into something that's illustrative, something
Right.
that's dreamy. So I always see things like in multiple perspectives, and
Okay.
then I jot it down. And
Mhm.
I never like sit down and do like, oh, acha, mujhe itni research karni and all that.
Right.
No, I go like real smooth.
Right.
Okay, I'm gonna use these very basic elements,
Mm-hmm.
I pick it up, I put it on the plate, and then I go and research on it. Okay, if I'm using this rabbit, why is that? And then I read about different mythologies and in different historical aspects. Why did they use this color of rabbit? What was like basically rabbit used for? What is it depicting? If I'm using lotus, why is that?
Hmm.
So I do my research on individual pieces, but visually it's very simple that even if a layman is coming and looking at it, he'll be like, okay, he will get something, not the entire idea, but the
Yeah.
point is I want to give them this open door for themselves. Okay, आप कुछ भी सोच लें, it's fine.
Right, right. The interpretation of, like whatever you want. Because I mean, art interpretation itself it can never be limited. So, that's awesome that you just let the audience or the viewer think whatever they want. That's
Right.
really cool because the type of research that you're describing is so different than like the type of research that people normally do, which is like, okay, like how to do this, or like, oh my God, like how am I gonna make this? So you're actually going behind the layers. You're like peeling off the layers. So that's awesome. Anything in like the kind of like the pop culture that other than books, what kind of like movies and these kind of things have like impacted you? Because I mean, I'm thinking of Alice in Wonderland a lot with like your work. So that just came into my mind immediately. So like are those some of the things that like definitely impacted
Yes,
you?
that majorly impacted on my work. So you do know about Studio Ghibli, right?
No.
So basically, it's a Japanese film studio.
Okay.
They have these all animated fantasy-based movies. So
Uh-huh.
it's by Miyazaki is the director of all that.
Oh,
So
okay, okay.
so those films were like, because I do not normally watch movies and all, so
Right.
I mostly watch like animated films and all.
Mhm.
So all based on fantasy and
Right.
things not too much related to real life, but
Yeah.
like something that's because we have so much stressful things going on around us,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
I cannot just go and just look at Mirzapur and be like, oh shit, this is so scary. Things
Yeah.
are so bad around us. I mean, it's a
Right.
good season, right? But
Yes.
I want something that could give me positivity because I think things we're watching and reading is something we are feeding our brain basically.
Right.
So
Exactly.
if it's going in, something will come out of it. So if I'm looking at things that actually make me happy
Right.
and like if I stay in a pleasant mood because of that, then why not? Why
Yeah.
would I give myself extra stress? So
Exactly.
it did help me a lot.
Right. That's awesome. Yeah. I mean, I'm just thinking about like colors and like whimsical flowers, and it's just like painting a picture in my mind, and that's so cool that you can just do that by talking about it. So I mean, not that it matters, but what was kind of the reaction of other people to this kind of art?
So surprisingly, it was actually brilliant because like so normally printmaking is in black and white, so like monotones, not
Right.
too much color, and it's mostly just on the paper.
Right.
So what I did was also unknowingly, I I created multiple plates
Mm-hmm.
and then I did these cutouts with those prints.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started making this collage sort of installation out of it. So it
Oh,
turned
cool.
out to be like huge installation. And it had a because normally if things are too big, they do have one impact. And then if they're very pleasant and then they're like very welcoming because of the colors,
Yeah.
people actually loved it. And surprisingly, kids loved it because they were like,
Oh,
oh,
cool. Yeah.
this reminds me of something. And even the elderly people, they were like, "Acha, it reminds me of something from my childhood. So all
Right.
sort of people actually were interacting towards it. So they were like, अच्छा ठीक है मुझे अपनी story को याद आ रही है इसको देख के
That's
या
so sweet.
yeah so things like that. So
That's so nice.
good response.
That's awesome. That's, I mean, me as an artist, that's what I want to do. That like, you know, um, people resonate with my work, no matter the age. So that's really cool that you did that. So the printmaking, I actually visited NCA about 2 years ago when I came to visit Pakistan, and I saw the printmaking setup that they had there, and it was so cool. And I also saw like some of the work that was hung up on the wall. I only came there for like 30 minutes, maybe 35 minutes, but it was really awesome. But I've never done printmaking, and so the process has always like very been intriguing to me. But how did you like at home? I don't know if you can do printmaking at home. I don't know if you have some kind of a setup, but if when you weren't those machines and those setups weren't accessible to you, like how did you adjust to that and what did you do instead?
Okay, so let's talk a bit about printmaking. Printmaking is like basically it's mental and physical labor both.
Mhm.
So it's not something that everyone will enjoy, but
Okay.
actually enjoyed it because I had a lot of energy, like mentally and physically. I had a lot of energy, and I was like, I need a spot, like I need something that will just like kahin pe bas nikal jaye energy
Right. Yeah.
in a
Yeah.
positive way, basically.
Right.
So
Right. Right. Right.
that's how I picked printmaking basically, and how I did it at home. So my mediums that I mostly work with are lino cuts
Mhm.
and wood cuts.
Okay.
So what we do is we have a plate
Okay.
and then we draw on it and then we carve it. And
Mhm.
after that we have to put like roller and inks and then
Right.
mostly you need a press for that.
Okay.
So what I did was I started searching online, what are the other reasons,
Right.
like other ways that could help me with this.
Right.
Then I realized, okay, this needs pressure. So I started doing it with spoon, like wooden spoon,
Hmm. Cool.
burnishing it, like putting a paper on it and stepping on it because like body weight se mujhe pata hai ki it's gonna transfer the ink on
Right.
the paper.
Right.
So
Right.
that's how I started doing that. But then again, if I'm doing etchings and all, I
Mhm.
need a studio space for that
Right.
because it needs acids and uh, printing press as well.
Right.
So for that very reason, I needed a space, like a studio space and press for that
Right.
basically.
Right, right, right. Yeah, no, that's awesome. Yeah, the printmaking, the process sounds complicated, but the end result is so beautiful because the intricate detail in there is just amazing. That like, how can you just press something and it just turns out to be like that? That's
The
so
best
cool.
thing about printmaking is that even when you're making it, you are clueless. Okay, how it's gonna turn out at the end? It's
Right,
always a surprise.
right. Yeah, something new every time. That's so cool. You're making me want to try it now, so I just might.
You
Um,
should.
yeah. So what other than like paper or the medium that you've been using, do you use anything else to like do your prints on?
Yes, I do. So recently I started doing these tote bags.
Oh,
So I got,
cool.
yeah. So I started like I bought myself few canvas, like loose canvas,
Mm-hmm.
and I got them made in tote bags, and then I printed them on. Like I did few screen prints, and
Hmm.
rest of them were like lino cut stampings. So I transferred exact same like idea and exact same technique on canvas. So
Huh.
I can always use um paper other than paper, so cloth,
Uh-huh.
canvas, any sort of cloth,
Right.
and it can also anything that can pick up color.
Right. And the
So even if it's a wall, you can also do it, but with lino because it's flexible. But so wood won't do that for you because it's hard and it's not that much possible for us to transfer color and ink to on the harder surfaces.
I
But
see.
then if you have cloth and
Right.
softer materials, you can always do that, like leather.
That's awesome. I mean, the tote bags are so like I feel like those are never going out of fashion ever. So that's a really cool thing you picked. And it's interesting that you didn't just get them ready made and you just you got them stitched yourself. That's really cool. And so do you sell these?
I do.
I might just buy one. Sounds, I mean, if you ship internationally, sure. That's awesome.
Sure.
So is anybody like in talking about like your family, is anybody like an artist in there? Do you have an art background?
Actually, no, nobody is from art background, like not anyone
Cool.
yet.
Not yet, right. And I mean your dad sounds like he has a kind of a cool job because like nature, I love nature. I always want to be in nature. So sounds like he has a really, really cool job. But what was like your parents reaction to you going to like an art school or wanting to go to an art school?
So they were like very supportive towards this
Mhm.
because they knew it since like ever since I started showing interest towards arts, they
Right.
knew that I was going to go towards art school. And at one point when I was pretty much sure that okay, this is what I'm gonna do and I'm gonna go to NCA, they were like, fit it, go for it. It's fine.
That's
They
awesome.
were actually very supportive towards me.
That's great. That's great. I mean, you always
And
want
then
that.
they're like my biggest critiques as well. They're never like, oh wow, this work is amazing. This is beautiful. It's been like 4 years, almost 5 years now. They
Right.
never said this work is amazing. They're always like, oh, अच्छा इसमें this ये मसला है, ये गलती है, so fix it. Maybe it could have been better this way. You could have done this thing in it. So things like that. So very
Yeah, yeah.
supportive.
That's how you know that they really care. So that's good. Both my parents are artists, so I never ever. ever expect like, oh yeah, this is great from them. Whenever I take something to them, I always expect something back. So I totally
I
get
think it also helps us a lot in
Oh yeah.
growing.
Yeah, definitely. Drawing is definitely not my strongest pursuit, but it with practice and stuff it comes. So, what other mediums like do you usually work with? Like I printmaking. So, do you like drawing and painting, and what kind of paint? Like, do you like watercolors? Because I'm thinking about a lot of watercolors with your art. I don't know why.
Right.
Right?
So I do painting, and but I do prefer watercolors more.
Hmm.
Like before I started doing printmaking, I've been working with watercolors for like even before NCA.
Right.
So yes, I think that's what I enjoy more because of the flow and all the colors.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Like
I work
mixing
with
together. Yeah.
watercolors more.
Right.
Hmm.
That's cool. And I feel like acrylic or oil would be just too like hard, like kind of like
Yeah,
a
it's way
very
too solid and it sort of stops you.
exactly.
So
Yeah.
that,
Yeah. Cool. So would you say that like going to art school itself kind of completely changed you in a way? Because I feel like college changes anybody, you like really find yourself when you go there, as cliche as it sounds. But I feel like art school really, really like makes you go in a deeper layer of like change. So like how would you describe that?
so all my 4 years there at NCA, they were pretty good. Like actually, I remember my mama used to tell me that okay, so the time you're gonna spend at university is going to be the best time for you, and then it's gonna be your best teacher, which actually was true
Mhm.
because I learned a lot in those years
Right.
because I used to interact with a lot of different people,
Mhm.
people coming from different cultures
Right.
and different regions.
Mhm.
And then luckily I had like the best teachers. Like people we only see, okay, हाँ किताब में हम देख रहे हैं,
Yeah.
this is Afshar Malik, this is Laila Rahman and all. So
Right.
all those people, they were around me and I
Right.
was learning things from them. It
Right.
was actually a very positive energy. So it
Right.
helped me a lot in growing.
Right.
I also think that teachers actually matter a lot. If
Mhm.
they're supportive
Mhm.
and if they're actually invested in you,
Right.
then things. I don't think friends itne matter karte, but teachers actually matter a lot.
Yes.
Luckily, I had good friends as well.
Mhm.
I had like plus there at NCA we have this. It's a small space, but everyone knows each other. So
Right.
it was also very happy time there, and then everyone talks to other people. So
Right.
you learn a lot. Like every single day is a new day for you, but like you're
Oh,
learning new things every day. So it was actually great.
that's so sweet.
Good
Yeah, no,
times.
I totally agree. I mean, teachers are so important. So important. I mean, like in art school, teachers are like extremely important. Who is like would you say like one like memorable teacher that taught you a lot? Like I mean, you don't have to name any names, but like what was the subject and what like did they teach you?
So at NCA, and one reason why I also chose printmaking were like two people, and one of them is the one who's like I work at Inkster Print Studio, so
Uh-huh.
that is owned by my teacher called Sir Saad. So that was the major reason why I even chose printmaking in first place, like in back in my second year as a
Right.
major.
Oh, cool.
It was that, and then another one was Ma'am Laila Rahman. Both of them were like my printmaking teachers, my
Okay.
major teachers,
Right.
and they were way too much invested in my work. They actually used to tell me, "Don't do it." They used to scold me because normally teachers they don't really care. At one point, they're like, "Okay, if you want to do it, go for it. It's
Yeah.
your loss."
Right.
And
Right.
but they used to be like, "No, you need to work more on this.
Right.
Stop it. Don't do this." So it was actually a very positive
Right.
change for me because I used to think, okay, teachers, they don't really care. They're
Yeah.
not gonna be that invested in me.
Yeah.
So yeah, these two teachers majorly.
That's awesome. Yeah, teachers at one point, you're right. Like, they have like 20 other kids to look at, so they're like, like whatever. So that's really cool that you found those two teachers. I completely resonate with that. I also like throughout my bachelor's like had two teachers that really helped me, like especially my portfolio teacher. He was amazing. So I totally get that. So I'm guessing that like I'm gonna assume that like teachers are a big inspiration for you. Who else do you think is like from the art world is an inspiration for you and your art?
I like okay, so from the old masters or something. or somebody who's present?
Anybody.
Okay, to be very honest, there's no one that was like, oh wow, this is amazing. Oh, I want to be like that. So
Right,
I really, really loved Frida Kahlo. Why? Because I loved one thing about her that actually is somewhere in my work.
right,
That's how she turned something so miserable into something so beautiful. So the
right,
beauty of misery. So
right,
that's one thing I really love about her work.
right.
And then if it's into like colors, I think it's Henry Matisse
Mm-hmm.
and Claude Monet. Yes,
Ah,
like
cool.
old masters. But then I started learning and reading on them when I think around 3 years ago. Thought, "Ki, acha, theek hai," because sadly in our history classes and all, they do not care. They're
Yeah,
not gonna teach you things like that.
right.
And from our region, I really love Chughtai work.
Right, right, right.
So yeah, majorly that.
That's awesome. Yeah, I honestly, all of your work and all of everybody you mentioned kind of like go hand in hand. So it's really, really, really cool to like see that. I'm so happy that I got to talk to you. This is awesome. Not done yet though. So
Okay.
that's so cool. So what about like a culture? So you mentioned like Japan, and I can definitely see why. So what other cultures do you think that like kind of have inspired you?
It's majorly Japan
Hmm.
because of their woodcuts,
Yeah.
how intriguing they were, and how they used colors and how they made something so simple just so beautiful. It
Right.
taught me something like you don't have to create something so complicated
Right.
just to look nice or something very attractive.
Yeah.
So Japanese woodcuts, that
Yeah.
was like my major inspiration.
Cool. Cool. Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I,
like Hokusai's Great Wave.
hmm.
It's pretty
Oh,
famous.
right. Yeah. 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 I would. Yeah, I would love to visit Japan. I feel like the country itself is like so like whimsical, and you just like want to be there, and it just sounds so colorful. So definitely. But like, did you see like your art kind of change through the years, or was it always just like printmaking and like nature? Or like how did you see your art like evolve?
So at this point, so just like I mentioned earlier, when I was doing my thesis, at that point, I was like, okay, I've given my best. This is my
Mhm.
100%, and I am satisfied.
Right.
Also got my honors, and I was like, oh, perfect, everything is
Cool.
good. And
Right.
after that, I realized when I looked at my work, and I was like, there's something still missing.
Right.
So I was like, it's okay. I'm not gonna go for something bigger theme or different theme and all.
Yeah.
I will stick to the same technique and
Right.
I will try to resolve this thing. If I want to know and ask myself first why I am so much into, okay, I know why, because movies and books and then nature inspiration, but there is some other reason why I'm so interested in natures and bugs
Right.
and foliage
Right.
and fantasy. Why is that? So
Right.
at this point, I'm trying to find that out. So I
Oh,
told myself, even if it takes like 2, 3, or 4, 5 years, I will let it be like that. And I will continue working on this.
cool.
So I'm not thinking of going bigger. I'm not thinking of finding something very interesting or something very commercial. I just want to go with this one.
Right. That's awesome. Yeah, and I feel like that's a very important like mindset to have, because yes, you want to make money and stuff, but you want to be happy with your art, because I feel like as artists we get stuck. We get stuck in this cycle of, oh my god, am I happy with my art, or am I making enough money? And it's so exhausting. It's so exhausting, like, and
So for
then
that,
yeah.
what I did was I asked myself. So I sit down with myself a lot, and I ask myself questions. जो कि शायद किसी और को पूछनी चाहिए कुछ.
Right.
So I sit down with myself and I ask myself before thesis, okay, Javeya, so you're gonna make this. Why are you making this? Do you want
Right.
to earn money? Do you want to be famous, or do you want to be happy
Right.
and satisfied? And I was like, yes, obviously I want to be satisfied, because I think if you continue working on something, you'll get it eventually. You
Yeah.
continue giving your 100% to something every single day for
Right.
every coming year, you will get what you're looking for, be it yes, be it success, be it
Yeah.
money, be it fame, whatsoever, you will
Right.
get it.
Right.
There's no chance if you're putting your 100% into something, you won't get it.
And you won't
So
get
I wanted to be happy and satisfied,
it.
first of all,
Right.
because art is like it's like a religion towards me. So
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I have to give my 100% towards this one thing.
Right.
So yeah.
I completely understand what you're saying. And it seems like, because that was honestly one of my questions that I tend to ask everybody, that is like, where do you draw that line of, okay, this is I'm painting for my pleasure and this is I'm painting for like to sell, whatever. And I think you answered that perfectly, that, if you're, I feel like you are just so happy with your art that you don't care if it's like for pleasure or for selling. So you kind of just don't even have to draw that line. That's really cool. And so after you like graduated, right, I know you're working and everything, but coming into a very graduating to like a saturated like art industry, right, how do you kind of tend to stay original, or be like, okay, I'm, because I feel like your mind just gets lost in everything that's out there. So how do you yourself like stay true to yourself and like originality in your art?
So there is a lot of temptation out there,
Right.
and for the opportunity part, you will get a lot of opportunities, but then for that you will have to go for, you will have to give something to
Yeah.
get something.
Right.
And sadly, how things are in Pakistan, in the art circuit, in the art scene, is not something that I really appreciate. So I chose to just step back, create my own work, and when it's time, I that's what I've told myself, I will step in
Yeah.
and look for opportunities. Maybe if I'm working on it, and maybe opportunities can come to me
Right.
itself.
Right.
So
Right.
I'm not gonna go into it, not as yet.
Right. 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 I love that you're not rushing yourself. I love that, because like we just set like expectations for ourselves, I feel like, and we just want to meet them like really fast. But I love that you're not rushing yourself. Another idea that like kind of came into my head was, I don't know if you're interested in this, but like installations, I feel like installations in your kind of artwork would be so cool. I'm like playing it in my head, and to see that like somewhere, I don't know if installations are a big thing in Pakistan, like statues or like digital installations, I don't know, but I feel like you could make something really great out of that. I don't know. It just like kind of
I
came in.
can, yeah. So like for my thesis, I just have told you like मैंने एक बहुत huge installation की थी.
Right.
Everyone came up to be, they loved it, and they were like, oh, अच्छा हम photograph करना चाहते हैं and all.
Right.
But for the selling purpose, right?
Okay.
No one was ready to buy it. Why? Because it's so huge, it'll be expensive. So we don't have a very good spot to put it in our house or in our hotel or something like that. For selling point of view, it's not that of a good idea.
Okay.
But if you want to do it voluntarily, it
Right.
is a good idea because people do enjoy it, because
Right.
there's a lot happening in it. So
Right.
you will stand there and stare at it for like good 3 to 4 minutes at
Right.
least.
Yeah.
At least.
Yeah.
So yeah. But I am actually very much interested in installations more than just prints on the wall,
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
just two colors.
Which is really cool too. I mean, just prints are really cool too, and they're like I said before, like the detail is what gets me. So awesome. I am so glad I got to talk to you, because there's people, they get stuck in this, like I said, they get stuck in this, oh my god, like how should I do this, what am I gonna do, and you have it all laid out. I mean, I feel like you're a very big inspiration to me right now, because you have it figured out, and as it seems. So do you have any like thing you would like to address, or like any closing remarks?
Nothing very big, but it's just that things always get better, honestly. Because when we're in that situation, we're
Yeah.
like, oh God, no, we're in denial. We're like, no, things are not gonna get better. Because
Yeah.
when COVID started, right? We
Right.
were all scared. We were like, Zindagi khatam, bas,
Yeah.
it's over. It's the end of the world.
Yeah.
How are we going to
It's
survive
true.
this?
It's true.
And in this time, if even if you've managed to, like, if it's about art, if you've managed to create one piece of art,
Yeah.
or you came up with one good idea, that's more than enough, I think.
Right. Right.
Plus, I think people need to stop killing themselves over these superficial things.
Yeah.
They really need to put themselves and their health, mental health first,
Right.
because if this is fine, jo haath se niklega and everything else, it is going to be perfectly fine.
Exactly.
Plus, if you're working for money or for fame, to just go sad, Allah Ta'ala, sorry, but just go write on the things, just okay. आप बहुत कुछ बहुत क्लिशे बड़ी बेसिक सी चीजें हैं जो वो बिकती हैं, जस्ट
Yeah.
लाइक मदर डॉटर रिलेशनशिप पे लिखते हैं आप,
Right.
या
Right.
यू डू गेट व्हाट आई एम ट्राइंग टू से, कि कुछ
I
बहुत ही
completely
बेसिक आइडियाज हैं जिस पे आप काम करोगे वो बिकेगा और लोग पसंद करेंगे, फूल बूटे बना लो आप स्पेसिफिक टाइप के।
completely understand that because and I just got to understand it more when like Rungg came into place, like as we were like working on the gallery, and I was like, I completely made that connection in my mind. I was like, wow, there's really just some, sorry for the word, but common things that just get sold, and then some like some like new art, and I'm constantly on the look for that new art. Things will get sold, but like do you really want to like look at the same, and I'm really not shitting on anybody, I promise, but like the same landscape, the same portraits, the same calligraphy, do you really want to be stuck in that? Or like do you want like new art like yourselves, and I don't say that just for Pakistan. I say it like all over the world. I feel like people get so comfortable with like, oh, I know calligraphy, so I'm just gonna. And it's beautiful. Calligraphy is beautiful, but like they do it because they're comfortable that it's gonna get sold. And
True. That's sad, I think, because you
that,
have spent so much time and energy into something, and
yeah,
you're just letting it go just because you want to earn money, and
yeah,
if you just because you know that this is gonna get sold,
yeah.
then that's so sad. It's sad for you if you're doing this. Don't do it.
Yes, exactly. And there's so much potential, and it's just scarier when people like that become art teachers or art instructors to like the next generation, and they're teaching the same thing to them. So
Because
I
the,
think,
the the scary part is that they are also going to teach their students that, okay, beta, you have to earn money, you
yeah,
have to create art that's gonna get sold.
yeah,
Don't do this, it's not gonna get sold. Because I remember at one point in my thesis,
right,
this very good teacher, but he came up to me and he was like, Jawaria, doing this. Do you know that this thing is not sellable because the scale is so huge? It's not gonna get sold, and there is like hardly 1% chance of it getting sold. And I
oh
was
my
like,
god,
okay. And it actually helped me a lot, because at that point, जो idea था ना कि अच्छा मैंने काम बेचना है,
yeah,
it totally vanished, and I was
exactly,
so happy and so like easy about it कि अब बस काम बनाना है, अपने लिए बनाना है, let's just
right,
have fun. And
right,
in those like 3 to 4 months, I had the best time of my these 4 years. I actually partied a lot. I
yeah,
worked a lot. It was actually so much fun for me because I
oh,
wasn't thinking about creating work that's gonna get sold,
right,
something that's gonna look commercial,
yeah,
that's gonna bring people to it. So I think that's very important. If
yeah.
you're loyal towards your work, things will get better and good for you, for
I,
sure.
I totally agree. I totally agree with you. And I love that you took his very negative comment into something so positive. I love that you did that for yourself because like great, so encouraging. Thank you. But it's just sucky that a lot of people can't take that comment, in a positive way, and they will then the next time they will limit themselves and just try to make something commercial and that can be sold. So I feel bad for like people who are taught by like limited minded teachers. So I'm really glad that you got to find some like cool teachers who were there for you to support you and all of that. That's why I feel like institutions like NCA are just so like important. It just sucks that not everybody is going to go there, not everybody can afford to go there, or then they come out with not their full potential. So I get that. Yeah. So nice to talk to you. I'm gonna be sending you an email with like a few things that I might need from you, like pictures and stuff like that. So
Mhm.
that will come. Also, side note, we have my sister and I, we co-host a podcast. It's called it's a little self-promotion here. It's called Log Kya Kahenge, and it's basically about like the things we have to deal with as South Asian people,
Mhm.
not just like in America or UK or anything, but like everywhere. And I feel like if you want to be a part of that, kind of like we would love to have you. You could talk about like anything.
Sure, sure, sure.
Because we are always looking for like creative and art people, because people have a lot to say about like the negative, the same old like auntie drama and brown people drama. So we would love to have something creative on there. So I will shoot you an email about that as well.
Okay, sure. Perfect. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you
you. Thank you.
so
It
much.
was lovely.
It was so nice talking to you, and I hope we can talk soon.
Yeah, same. Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Bye.